The Galactic Council had ruled for 10,000 cycles, overseeing hundreds of species across the spiral arm with calculated precision. They considered themselves enlightened superior beings who had transcended the primitive impulses that plagued lesser species. When humans finally achieved faster-than-light travel and joined the galactic community, the Council categorized them as developing sentience, a classification that carried subtle but persistent undertones of inferiority. Dr. Ilara Kane had been the human ambassador to the Council for 5 years. She had fought tirelessly for humanity's place among the stars, weathering the condescension of the Council's elder races with diplomatic grace. But nothing in her training had prepared her for the message that appeared on her secure terminal that morning. "They have Mira." The words, simple and devastating, were accompanied by coordinates and a single video file. When she played it, her blood turned to ice. Her 8-year-old daughter, who had been on a school excursion to the human colony on Proxima b, was strapped to a clinical table, surrounded by the elongated forms of ex-Aurelian scientists. Council scientists. The subject displays interesting neurological responses to stimulus, one of them noted dispassionately as Mira screamed. The human limbic system appears uniquely developed. Further investigation required. The video cut off. Ilara's hands trembled as she contacted Earth Command. Within 24 hours, every human diplomat across Council space was recalled. No explanations were given, no formal declarations made. The Council's inquiries went unanswered. Many Council representatives found this behavior puzzling, but ultimately dismissed it as another example of human unpredictability. It was their first mistake. High Admiral Chen watched the fleet assemble in the shadow of Jupiter. 500 warships, hastily retrofitted with technology humans, weren't supposed to possess not yet, according to the Council's carefully planned technology integration schedule for new species. What the Council didn't understand, what they couldn't comprehend, was that humans had never shown all their cards. The Council's patronizing attitude had made Earth Command cautious. For every piece of technology openly shared, 3 more were developed in secret. For every warship acknowledged in official registries, a dozen more were hidden in asteroid bases and camouflage shipyards. "Status report," Chen demanded, his voice betraying none of the rage that consumed him. His own grandson was in the same class as Mira Kane. "Assault groups assembled, sir. Strike Package Alpha is ready for deployment. The Chimera device is online." The Chimera device. Named after the fire-breathing monster of ancient myth, it was humanity's darkest secret, a weapon that could destabilize a star, causing it to nova within hours. Developed but never deployed, kept as the ultimate insurance policy against extinction. Today, it would be used for retribution. "Commence Operation Kindertorte," Chen ordered. No one on the bridge questioned the name German for children's cake, a bitter reference to what their enemies had taken. The fleet moved out in perfect formation, jumping into FTL toward the Exaurelian homeworld. The Council's High Chamber was in session when the alerts began sounding. The Exaurelian delegate was mid-speech, pontificating on the need for stricter regulation of developing species, when his aide rushed in with news that made his 4 eyes widen in alarm. "Impossible," the Zethka Archon scoffed. "The humans have nowhere near that level of military capability." The chamber's grand holoscreen activated, showing the human fleet emerging from FTL directly above the Exaurelian capital. There was no warning, no demand for surrender. The first salvo of kinetic impactors struck the planetary defense grid with surgical precision, collapsing it within minutes. "This is madness," the Vularan representative shrieked. "Contact them immediately." When the transmission finally connected, Admiral Chen's face appeared before the Council. His expression was stone. "Return the children," he said simply. The Council members exchanged confused glances. "What children?" asked the Grand Arbiter, genuinely perplexed. Chen's eyes hardened. The human children your scientists abducted for experimentation. All 216 of them. A heavy silence fell over the chamber. Slowly, all eyes turned to the Exarillion delegate, who suddenly seemed very interested in studying the floor. We were not aware of such actions, the Grand Arbiter said carefully. If certain elements within the Exarillion Science Directorate have overstepped. You have 1 hour, Chen interrupted. After that, we burn it all. The transmission cut off. Immediately, frantic calls were made to the Exarillion Science Directorate. What they discovered horrified even the most callous council members. Not just one child, but hundreds taken from human colonies in a coordinated operation authorized at the highest levels of the Council's Scientific Evaluation Committee. The justification in the classified files was clinically brutal. Humans develop emotional resilience through early life trauma in ways unique among known species. Understanding this process could benefit all Council races. Within 50 minutes, transport ships carrying terrified but alive human children were dispatched to the human fleet. The Council breathed a collective sigh of relief as the ships were received. But the human fleet didn't depart. We have complied with your demands, the Grand Arbiter transmitted desperately. The children are returned. This regrettable incident was authorized by Council Directive X72B, Chen finished for him. We decrypted your files. We know. Before the Arbiter could respond, the human fleet split into 5 battle groups. 4 jumped away to unknown destinations, while 1 remained above Xerillia. What are they doing? Whispered the Medusan delegate. They soon had their answer. Across Council space, 4 suns began to brighten unnaturally. The Exarillion Sun, the Zethkar Primary, the twin stars of the Vularan system, the ancient red giant that warmed the Medusan homeworlds. All Council races that had representatives on the Scientific Evaluation Committee. This is not justice. The Grand Arbiter screamed into the void. This is genocide. Chen's reply was ice cold. No. This is parenting. In the aftermath, as billions fled their dying systems in a desperate exodus, the remaining Council races convened an emergency session. The human delegation, led once again by Dr. Elara Kane, attended in person a deliberate show of fearlessness. You must understand, Elara explained to the shell-shocked assembly. Humans evolved on a death world, where the strong protected the weak as our primary survival strategy. Our children are not merely offspring, they are our future, our hope, our most sacred trust. She looked around the chamber, meeting each alien gaze unflinchingly. We did not want this war. We did not start it. But understand this clearly. There is nothing in this galaxy more dangerous than humans protecting their children. Remember that the next time you mistake our cooperation for weakness. The Galactic Concord that followed established new principles for interspecies relations. Chief among them, human children were never to be touched. It was the first of what became known as the Red Line's boundaries that, if crossed, would bring extinction without warning or mercy. In the millennia that followed, many species would test humanity's resolve on various matters. But none, not even in the darkest corners of the galaxy, ever dared cross that first, blood-soaked line again. They had learned what the Council discovered too late. Humans would burn worlds to ashes for their children, and never lose a night's sleep over it.